What's going on? What's happening? Okay, so let's see something here. Topic visible. There it is. It was invisible, and I don't like it. Want it to be visible. There it is. Perfect. Perfect. Make sure my audio is good. Test a widget. There it is. What's up, Baron? What's going on, buddy? Fatbot's calling me out. Real question for you is, Rich, are you enjoying the show as I do? Yes, I'm always enjoying the show. What's up, Baron? How are you, buddy? How's Air Max doing today? I just got done my morning meetings, and then realized it was Tuesday, and I don't normally stream on Tuesdays, but because yesterday was a holiday here, I kind of got to make up for it and stream today. Yeah, I'm good, Baron. Appreciate it, buddy. Uncle Jim, holy crow, 17 freaking months. Welcome back to the gym, man. Hope you're well, Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim, I think you'll enjoy the stream today, buddy. It's gonna be a really interesting topic. I think it could go two ways. I think it maybe we'll scratch your head and go, I never thought of it that way. And I think I could upset some people. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's happening. Oh, you just started watching? Hey, Louie, what's up, buddy? You know I'm dangerous. This ain't Rainbow Six we're talking about today, although you could make a comparison in some ways, I'm sure. I'm already upset with you for suggesting that I'll be upset. Dang it. I love to know that I'm ahead of the curve. Morg meme dangerous? Yes. Very dangerous. She's got a sword. Watch it. Everybody watch it. Jim, why are you in need of the gym, buddy? You're not doing any exercises? True story. I have lost 2 inches off my waist and 13 pounds in the past 2 weeks. I'm on a new diet that's really watching my macros and all that kind of jazz, and trying to get my body fat percentage way down, and beach body and all. I want to get ready for the summer. I skipped the past 2 years and kind of let myself get out of shape, and figure I do all this work in the gym. Why would I hide it under, a layer of subcutaneous fat, as they say? I actually started exercising last month, did a 30-day squat challenge. Ooh, nice. Squats, I can do squats, but I hate squats. Oh my gosh, do I hate squats. Morg, is that healthy? Am I dangerous? Yes. Is what healthy? Oh, the amount of weight I lost. Yes. I literally track every meal that I eat. I have this app that I bought a couple years ago. And I literally track every food, every ingredient. It's pretty awesome, actually. It's very in-depth. It takes a bit of time to set up. Hey, what's up, Batman? How are you, buddy? I always have to think about your name when I see Bat versus Game Now. I'm like, is that? Yes, it is. Good to see you here, man. Today's going to be a good stream, not going to lie. I'm actually really excited. When this topic kind of came to me, I will admit right off the hop, it's not mine. I'm paraphrasing a bunch of people, but it's a topic that, honestly, I think about a lot. And I'm good, Batman. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. I agree, TX. This is going to be a good topic, and I really am curious as we journey through this idea of being a dangerous person. I say dangerous man just because I'm thinking of myself, but as we journey through this process of are you a dangerous person, I'm curious to see how everyone's perspective plays into this, because I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and I think where I start, I think is going to throw some people. So when I say to you, so let's just ask the question right up front. So when I say to you, Morg Meme's a dangerous person, what do you think I'm assuming? Like what assumptions are you making when I say XYZ is dangerous because? And then I'll get into a couple. There's 3 things that I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on one really hard because that's what I think the vast majority of us will say. But then I'm going to point out two other ones that are actually even more dangerous than the one I'm going to focus on. You'll understand. Trust me, you'll understand. So when I say so-and-so is a dangerous person, what am I saying? Doesn't have to be a big paragraph or nothing like that. Just something quick. They're dangerous because XYZ. They can hurt somebody. Yeah. What else? So for me, hey, welcome back, Brenny. 13 months. Wow, lucky 13. Get in. Yes. Yes, I am. A criminal. Okay. So when you say they can hurt someone or a criminal, what is it about a criminal or someone that is hurting somebody that makes them dangerous outside of the fact that they're hurting somebody? Anyone can be dangerous in the right circumstance. Again, so the three areas that I'm going to focus on today will highlight what you're saying, Baron, very much so. So I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk necessarily about character today because that's just a really big, hey, MLA, nice to see you, kiddo. Thanks for joining us today. Someone who chooses to do do the negative instead of the positive. Yeah. So are we making the assumption then that a dangerous person can't be a good person? That they have to somehow inherently be bad or evil? You're doing eyeliner at the moment? Nice. Can a dangerous person be the hero? Because I guarantee you the evildoer sees the hero as the dangerous one. A good person can certainly be dangerous. Okay, so here let's get into it a little bit. Yeah, no problem, Brenny. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks again for the resub, man. So this topic for me came out of a couple different things. So for those of you who don't know, obviously we do Rise Above here. So we work with a lot of really at-risk kids who have done a lot of times dangerous things or what are perceived to be dangerous things. And yeah, there are TX. There are a lot of answers here, and that's the point. I want you to think about it. So it is. My friend grew up in as Navy SEAL. He's a person who is dangerous. So we're gonna come to that, Batman. I'm glad you said that. That's why Batman has contingency. So not only do I run Rise Above, but I also have hobbies. I do things that some people consider dangerous. I build and repair firearms as a hobby. I shoot competitively. For those of you that don't know, I served several years in the armed forces as a machine gunner and as an airborne paramedic. A lot of people would see that as making me a dangerous person because I have a skill set. I lift weights, heavy weights, often. I took several years of mixed martial arts. Does that make me a dangerous person? You know, the kids that come in here have a history of doing things that harm other people, whether it's doing drugs, selling drugs, bringing guns to school, using guns in violent situations, committing violent acts, burning buildings down, destructive things. And oftentimes people say, well, I can't believe you work with those kids. It's so dangerous. More can still beat me up. True story. So, I mean, but the reality is, so the state of the world right now, the joke right now, nice. Welcome back. I'm glad you're a weapon, Brenny, especially with all the weight you've been losing, buddy. I'm sure you're just a beast right now. Nearly spit my coffee out. Want a ticket to the gun show. So a lot of the times we get chatting in the gym and stuff like that because I'm in the gym 5 days a week. For those that don't know, I lift. It's a thing. And one of the things that gets said very often because of my skill set or perceived skill set, people always say, oh, when it hits the fan, man, I'm coming to your house. Well, why are you saying that? Why do they say that? Do they honestly perceive me as as a dangerous person, or they see me as a safe person, someone who is going to protect them in some form or fashion? Is it because I work with these kids and these kids, I don't know. That's part of the question today. So it's part, hey, I have an idea. At the same time, I also think there's something I want to explore. I want to journey with you guys. Who are dangerous people? Simple answer, Morg. I'm dangerous to criminals. True enough. So we're going to come to that. I think speech can make people dangerous. Okay, so herein lies my stream today. My speech can be dangerous. This is why I say I could offend some people today. Just being transparent. I hope I don't. I pray I don't. I really want everyone to kind of come through this together. But so my question is, what does a dangerous person look like? Right. So some of the answers we gave earlier, and I have pages and pages and pages of notes here. So I'm going to be looking down a lot at my notes. So I do everything chronologically, because otherwise I'll go down a million freaking rabbit holes, and we only got 2 hours, people. What does a dangerous person look like? You know, and we talked about, what do you picture? This idea of, they're often the guy with the horns, the evildoer, the guy that lurks in the shadows, and so what you're describing is what I refer to as the nefarious person, the evildoer, the person who, as someone said, they have bad intentions. Their thing right from the get-go, their point right from start, point one is to, I'm going to somehow get into the back door and either take your stuff, hurt your stuff, or hurt what means the most to you, right? They're dangerous people. We all know they're dangerous people. Brendan, you say you don't even have to look at them. You just have a feeling that they're a dangerous person. A lot of that comes from experience. Some of that is bias. We talk about bias a lot right now, and that's something we work with our staff a lot on, is this idea of stop having preconceived notions about what a student is capable of or incapable of. Instead, start fresh each time, and we talk about cutting the rope and allowing a student to be a new person the minute they walk in the door. So if they were nefarious before, our goal is to say, hey, that's not who you are. We know that you're made better than that, and I give you permission now to start that journey. And I'm not gonna come into this with any bias, and neither should they. These people tend to suck. I don't know how else to say it. They're not fun to be around. They do. And Brenny, what I'm saying is, very often they have a swagger, but something's different about them. You can just tell. Every agency in the world that is made to deal with nefarious people are taught to look for certain characteristics. It's not a weird thing to say. I just can feel it. They give off a vibe, But basically, the nefarious people are anyone who is intentional about wanting to cause you harm and to do bad things.
More like ripped, immersed.
Whoops, I didn't hit that button intentionally, but it makes sense. These people will betray you for just about anything, but usually it's something to do with greed. It does fit. I'm not going to lie. The sound command is there for a reason. I just rarely use it. They tend to be category 2. Nefarious people tend to also fall into another type of dangerous person, which is somebody who is weak. Not W-E-E-K, W-E-A-K. Weak people. And it sounds paradoxical for me to say that a weak person is dangerous, right? And I don't want you to think when I say weak, yes, that I'm not talking weak, right? I'm talking weak. Weak here and weak here. These people are the ones that, they'll steal the pen off your desk, man. They're just, these people hurt you accidentally. You know what I mean? They don't even try to hurt you. They just, by sheer constitution, ruin other people's lives. Well, think of a team of military. You're only as strong as your weakest member. So here's the phrase, right? I use this a lot. And so for those of you that don't know, when I interview the students here at Rise Above, one of the first things that I do in my interviews, when I used to interview, now Nick, who many of you know, when Nick does interviews, I know he uses the same line though, but this comes from me. I, right off the hop, say to hey man, what's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well, man. I say to folks right off the hop, these kids, when they come in, I let them know right off the hop that I am not the weak link. I'm not going to be anything but the alpha male. My goal is to demonstrate to them not only physically, but constitutionally, mentally, physically, and emotionally, I am not going to be weak for you. Make sense? What that does then is it disarms them to a point where they move to a space where they don't try to do anything nefarious, because they're like, okay, this guy's in the room. Getting back to my point, weak people accidentally hurt you because they fumble kind of through life, right? They have no backbone, so when things kind of get when you get questionable, they lie easily. They have no ability to stand up and accept blame. They're the first ones to say, "Oh no, I didn't do it. They did it." That whole point the finger thing. Typically, it's the weak person that does that. They have no character. They tend not to have no stick-to-itiveness when it comes to their decision making. You follow what I'm saying? So they have no discipline on top of that. So even if they commit to something, it's very likely they will break their commitment fairly soon. And predominantly, all of these things happen: the backbone, the character, the discipline, are there, and they're weak because of one major contributing factor. And again, challenge me. So, right, add context to this, add content to this, because I'm going big, broad brushstrokes here. To me, as I thought about this, as I talked about this with what people I consider dangerous men in the gym, the special forces guy I work out with, undercover cops and other state police officers that I work with and train with. So one of the things I do in the summertime is I teach these people how to shoot well as part of my background in the competitive shooting that I do. I teach them how to do shooting drills and whatnot. I consider them to be courageous people. And what predominantly makes in the number 2 category here from nefarious to weak is the fact that they lack courage. The people are weak and have no discipline, weak character, and no backbone is predominantly because they don't have the courage to step forward boldly. That lack of courage can come from anything. Can come from past trauma, life experiences, never been given the opportunity to demonstrate, and therefore to you, therefore I haven't demonstrated to myself. Share What You Know says the deadliest weapon in the world is a Marine and his rifle. Assuming, and we're going to talk about this, assuming that Marine and his rifle have the ability to control fear. Hold that thought. Share What You Know, that is a great point. But there are many Marine who had a rifle who were too scared to come out of a foxhole when bullets started to fly. From experience, somebody who served in the Army as an infantry soldier with a machine gun, I can tell you there are people I want beside me and there are people I don't want beside me. And a rifle and a uniform do not make you somebody who necessarily is fit to be beside me. So I want to come back to that. The crazy thing about a weak person is we collectively, society, tend to make excuses for these people because it's almost become cliche, not cliche. It's almost become bad. What's the word I'm looking for? It's almost become it's seen now as bullying. If I go to the weak person and kind of not slap them out of it, but say, "Come on, man, toughen up," or have courage, it's now seen as a form of bullying. And so now everyone is scared. We all have stepped back and almost encouraged this weak, no backbone, no character, no discipline, no courage mentality. This is not a small, this isn't just a boy thing. This is a people thing. This is everybody. There's a place for every personality, and I'm not talking about the personalities. I'm not talking about going to battle necessarily. I'm not talking about every event that involves a firearm. I'm talking about life in general. The courage to do the right thing, right? To do your homework, to show up to work on time, right? To return the wallet you find on the street, not just skim the money out of it and throw it in the garbage, right? That's the true definition of courage, is to do the right thing, right? In my mind's eye. And again, I encourage the debate and conversation. You wear a uniform sometimes, but it's a score. Oh, Mal, get an emote going. I want to see an emote about that. This person, we make excuses for them, and very often we just pass it off. Oh, that's just Mao. We should pity Mao more than we should have, disdain or anger for his weakness, right? Or more than we should go and try and help him. Oh, that's just the way Mao is. Just leave him alone. Oh, he's so cute. Well, no, I shouldn't say Mao, because now I feel like I'm picking on Mao. I'm not. It was the first name, the last name that chatted in chat. The reality is that person is actually a dangerous person. They're hurting people. I assume some people have heard of Jordan Peterson. He is one that believes in the idea of a dangerous person. And he says very clearly, in one of his many podcasts and other books, that there's no one more dangerous in this world than a weak person. He says a weak man, but he's using generic language to mean people in general. There's nothing more dangerous in this world than a weak person, because nothing gets done. There's no consistency in the world. When I was doing research for this briefly yesterday, the reality was, character-wise, this weak category is where most pedophiles fall into. Think about this for a second. This is a crazy statistic. This is a whole, 3-year-long stream series if we wanted to go down this whole thing. It can be a very slippery slope when you start pigeonholing people, but at the same time, there is a tremendous amount of truth in the idea of what makes people dangerous. So let's get to the third. You say they're hazardous. Explain yourself. How is hazardous any different than the word dangerous? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking a clarifying question. And while you clarify, I'll go on to point 3 and the majority of what I want to talk about today with regards to dangerous people. Did you see the TED Talks about how we need to recognize pedophilia as a legitimate sexual preference and accept? Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. So no, I didn't. We people are inherently defective, which reduces their overall potential. So again, quotes and defective. So when we say they're defective, does that mean like are they repairable? Is it irreparable? Is it something that can be taught? Is it learned behavior? Is it prenatal? Is it genetic? Like that is a dangerous phrase. I would say be careful on some of that. Someone clip that of the explain yourself. No, somebody was to be not to be told inside to be dangerous. So let's go into the hero side of things, and I think that last share what you know. I think that will bring that text, that line into clarity. So the number 3 for me is what I'm classifying as a hero. That the typical villain hero mentality, what is typically portrayed in the movies, superhero comics. The hero is somebody who lovingly protects in whatever capacity. They're like a sacred guardian, as it were. They typically ascribe to a higher calling. Could be a dead ancestor. It could be a god. It's something transcendent beyond themselves that they ascribe to as the reason for their heroic nature, right? They get done their deed and they always look back to whatever and say, I did this for you, such and such, or whatever the thing is. And it's typically where hey, Flip, what's up, buddy? It was good chatting with you this weekend, buddy. It's typically where we get our sense of freedom from are these people we deem to be heroes. Share what you know. Where's that line from? You're quoting it, but I can't remember what it's from. Yeah, so did I, Flip. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that sentiment. One of the things I would say with a hero, and this is a side note that I had here, because I knew I was going to start this stream today with the idea that I can shoot fast. True story. I can lift heavy. True story. Matter of fact. And the reality is I shoot pretty darn straight. The reality is, I don't think that's a hero. Just because I can hit harder than you and shoot straighter than you does not make me more courageous than you. So Batman, this gets to the depth of the word hero now. That's a great point. This idea of a hero being who you are and not what you do necessarily. Typically, and again, so I'm clarifying. For me, I don't think you can spot a hero usually. You know how Brenny was saying, sometimes a nefarious person, you just get a feeling. You just sense it. Hey, Liam, what's up, buddy? I don't think you can do the same thing with a hero. I think a hero tends to be a quieter, unassuming type character. No? Yes? No? Good afternoon, sir. You have the ability to be one, but I agree that those things don't make your hero true. I believe you only see heroes in the moment. We're going to get to that. That is a great observation, Flip. So if you're less courageous as someone, are you more dangerous than that person? Not necessarily. So the amount of courage doesn't matter. The fact that you have courage is something different. I'm doing great, Liam. Thank you for asking, buddy. So while I'm saying I don't think you can spot a hero, I want to contextualize that by saying I also believe a hero is somebody who is extremely different than the normal person. So I think all of us has an element of a hero in us. So as I go through these points, you're going to say, "Oh, I see that. I have that. I can do that thing." And that freak comment, I get what you're saying with that. I don't necessarily agree with the terminology, but I would just change the word a little bit. They're different. They're set apart. They're definitely exceptional, is the way I would say it. Both, Liam. Yeah, that was the first part of the stream, just explaining the different types of dangerous person. Yeah, and I exactly share what you know. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. It's just I would just change the word to use it as a complimentary word, as opposed to something that is a freak, like a Hunchback in Notre Dame was referred to as the freak, right? People that genuinely care about others more than themselves. That is a hero. They're self-sacrificing. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Being around these people tend to make you a better person. Without you even realizing it, they just hold you to a higher standard. And honestly, this is what, when I think of my staff here at Rise Above and why our students have such an amazing success rate, it's because they're around people who model heroic behavior. And so the students can't help but be better because that's all they're seeing around them on a day in, day out basis. They tend to act in ways that are dangerous, but in the benefit of others. That's the whole self-sacrifice. And we're going to, I'm going to bring that into context for you in a second. Yeah, I agree. Share what you know. You know you're a caring person when people make fun of you for it. Again, that whole self-sacrifice. I'm not worried about how I look at the end of this. I'm worried about how you look at the end of this. You've been lectured on this quite a bit. Sorry. Congratulations. I don't know what I should say there. So I'm going to go through my notes here real quick. I'm just going to spout a bunch of things off, and you tell me whether you agree or disagree. These people tend to be tough as nails, meaning they're not just physically, like they're not just strong physical presences. Again, that idea of having mental and emotional toughness. And I would add, because again, being who I am, I would also add in spiritual toughness, right? The idea, the ability to have that transcendent value, right? They're driven. That gets back to the comment we were making earlier, the point we were making earlier about a weak person having no discipline in character. That's the drive that a hero has. A weak person has no drive. They give up really easily. Right? See how that's coming? The opposites now? I value emotional toughness as highly as I value. Yeah. So this is the emotional toughness is one of the things that, a quality that I think I have, where in extremely stressful situations, I naturally have the ability to calm everything, to slow everything down in my mind and not let my emotions take advantage of the situation. For me, I believe this was not something I was necessarily born with. I think it was built over time and was really realized for me as a trait when I became an airborne paramedic. When I was put into situations of great danger, while at the same time being able to have the presence of mind and the calmness to jump in and to apply a level of skill and ability, i.e. paramedicine, to an injured person while chaos is going on around you. You couldn't possibly do that job if you were a panicky person. Like my wife, she sees blood, she goes crazy, right? She would not be a person who has the mental and emotional toughness in a chaotic situation to be a hero. Now, in other situations, she's an absolute hero. If a person represses their emotion, is that emotional toughness? So I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying as emotional repressiveness. And I'll qualify that with this. And I actually have a note on this because I kind of felt this was going to come up. So these people, and again, bear with me for 2 seconds as I share what you know just said, because I love what you're adding to the context of the conversation. So these people are not just physical tough, but mental and emotional. These people would rather die than quit. They typically don't complain a whole lot. They lead extremely disciplined lives. They have schedules for everything. They have goals set way into the future, or at least far enough that sets them apart. And they can endure all kinds of pain. with little to no complaining, right? They're the ones that walk it off. Naturally just stub the toe and just, and then they just go for a walk around the gym or whatever the case is, and they just, okay, I'm ready. Let's get back into it. You know, they tend not to, for correctly processing and dealing with emotions is more than repressing to me. It's emotional toughness. So, and again, I'm going to come to that, Batman. I don't think there is repressing their emotion, at least not in handling the situation you're looking at. Needs to be. Here we go. I love it. I love the conversation. Heroes bear pain with a smile. It's not because they enjoy it, although a lot of heroes have what I call grave humor. And if you know anybody that served in the military, especially those who served in combat and served it and came out of it like unscathed to some degree, you're going to find what's called grave humor oftentimes. Police officers have it. Firefighters have it. A lot of people in those types of industries have it. In graveyard humor is this idea of being able to almost make light of pain and suffering. And some people, it seems very crude to some people that they can laugh at pain. That they can, like, those are the people that if you watch MMA, they beat the crap out of each other, and at the end they're laughing and they're hugging each other. Oh, it was a great fight, dude. Oh, freaking high five. Yeah, wow, you really kicked my butt. That's grave humor. Those are the people that we look at them beat the snot out of each other in the ring and go, how would you ever do that? And then that guy just tried to end your life, right? There's an element of sportsmanship in there, yes, but it's also that mental and emotional toughness, knowing that you've almost learned to enjoy the comedy that's involved in misery. You've turned it around so that it doesn't emotionally destroy you. I remember when I was in the Army, this is one of the best examples I could come up with. I loved the ruck marches, the full gear, give her 110%, heaviest pack I was a machine gunner, so I always had the heaviest pack, 100-pound frickin' pack, 80 to 100-pound pack. But I loved it. And why did I love it? Because I knew at the end of the ruck march, I got to pull the trigger. I knew at the end of that, whatever long march, as crappy as it was going to be, they were going to let me get down on the ground behind my machine gun and pull the trigger. And there was a satisfaction at the end of that. It's not quite the same as being punched in the face, but there was a lot of mental and emotional endurance that was needed to get through that. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If any of you in this chat have gone through military training at any level, you'll understand at least the basics of what I'm referring to, let alone anything that is beyond basic training in job specific, especially some of the more skilled trades like paramilitary and things of that nature. Anyways, I digress. The second thing, and this gets to the point of Cher and Flip earlier, when it comes to fear, a hero tends to be able to manage fear, and this is critical. This, to me, is probably the number one thing that sets a hero apart. So this is the Marine with a rifle is the most thing to be feared. Only if that Marine can manage his fear, because if that Marine has the best suit on the planet, the best uniform on the planet, has the most accurate rifle made to man, if that guy can't poke his head out of the foxhole long enough to pull the trigger, useless. Useless. If you can't manage your fear, and there's every Monday, today was Monday technically for me because yesterday was a holiday. Every Monday morning I have a 2-hour meeting with a great friend of mine who's a mentor that I meet with every Monday, and he is a Vietnam veteran. And he has told me endless stories of Vietnam, and he's a combat veteran. I won't go into his stories because I just don't think it would add value. But one thing that he repeats a lot is the fear he witnessed on the battlefield. and how debilitating fear was to people. How it could literally stop the best soldier in his tracks, regardless of skill, ability, and training. The best equipment in the world will not save that person. Why? Because fear renders it all inoperable. Fight or flight. And if you have flight as your base instinct, and sometimes that's a good thing. Even the best hero knows when to retreat. Best friend is an explosive expert. Yeah. You're scared of spiders. Love you, Morg. It doesn't matter how straight your gun shoots. It doesn't matter how much weight I can lift. If I'm too scared to employ the tactics, which gets to the second part of this, fear is crippling. Absolutely crippling. Are you suggesting that fear makes someone dangerous or just prevents them? So both, Baron. It makes you dangerous if you're on a team. If you're alone, if you're standing there alone and somebody you love is being attacked and you're too scared to respond in defense, again, a hero is someone who's brave enough to do the right thing in scary situations. If you're too scared to act, you innately will hurt the person that you should be defending, including yourself. We've talked a lot about the training he's gone through, versus what we had to do in gymnastics. In gymnastics, a great analogy for battling fear. Like the first time you jump off something high and do a flip and put your life in your ability in the same bucket. I mean, the reality is you can land on your head, right? Yeah, I mean, it could be. But the reality is if you have either the option to go through that person or the option to avoid that person, when avoidance isn't an option, meaning that person that's willing to lay you out, chills, whether it's you or the person you're supposed to be defending, someone's getting hurt. And you have a choice to make, right? So, and I've got this in brackets on my page here. Managing fear is the big monster in the room. It's the demon in every fight. Whatever that fight is. Whether it's an emotional fight, whether it's I think of yesterday I was in the gym I'm doing a new routine on bench and I'm challenging myself in ways I've never been challenged. And I tell you, it is partly fear, because when you get a certain amount of weight above you, I've got to psych myself up. Like literally, I have a whole routine of how I psych myself up and how I get angry at the bar to do certain things. And if I just can't do it, I can't. You just can't. You just won't be able to do it. You'll never move the weight. You'll never stop the bad guy. You'll never overcome the fear. It's just one of those things. Give me 2 seconds here. So many of us imagine ourselves acting heroically. This is a quote. This isn't my phrase. I copied and pasted this, so I don't claim it. Many of us can imagine ourselves acting heroically. But fear and the management of it is the very uncommon ability. If you can't manage your fear, acting heroically is pretty much impossible. Challenge me, go. Do you think you can act heroically when debilitated by fear? And again, heroes aren't fearless. Don't mishear me. Heroes aren't fearless. They manage their fear. They manage their breathing. I think of the real life situations, not the hypothetical ones, the real life situations I've personally been in. The ability to manage your breathing. Because if any of you have been in a stressful situation, you know how hyperventilating, like your heart's going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like if you ever almost been on the cusp of a fight, but never came to fruition and you kind of walk away. And if you, I just saw your joke, bro. Thanks. You know that feeling when you walk away, you almost can't breathe because you're just like, I cannot believe that freaking guy just got me so riled up. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so Morgan saying she's scared of spiders. Flip, I agree with you. Everyone's fear is different. It is the task of an enlightened, not only to ascend to learning and to see the good, but to be willing to descend again to those prisoners, share the troubles and honors. They're worth having or not. And this must do it even. Plato, as long as, and I would qualify that, and I've heard that phrase before, as long as you're not willing to tell war stories, I say avoid war stories. Everything has to have a lesson to it. If you're going to tell me a story of danger and the glory of battle, you better give me a life lesson in it, because I don't want to hear your blood and gut stories. I ain't got time for that. I got enough misery in my life. I don't need you to add misery without making me feel better about it. Someone can be heroic in a situation you wouldn't be, but you are situations that wouldn't be afraid of something else. Yeah. I don't believe Morgan is scared of spiders or anything. She just wants to seem more human. Morg meme trying to humanize herself. I get it. Hey, Crash, what's up, buddy? This stuff is really fun, Plato. Fear is the mind killer. Facebook has just become a fear exploiter. You just named the app I deleted. You'll probably never see anything from Facebook again concerning Risk Immersed. All social media. The only thing I've kept is Twitter, just because it's a means to get the channel out when I go live. I've deleted every social media app. Yeah, Louis, don't worry about it, buddy. I just appreciate the lurk even. You're good. Yeah, little did you know. Fear is mind over matter. If you can control your mind, you can control. Yeah. And again, so again, it's the ability to slow everything down to process. So here we go. Fear is an uncommon ability. This is the denominator that sets us apart, right? It's the ability to manage your breathing and to focus your mind to solve the next problem. Not the problem, the next problem. To take the next step. Typically, fear holds you in place. Oh, but what if? Oh, but this could happen if I did that. I could. You never know that thing, there could be a spider in there. If I open that door, who knows what's in the closet? Oh, dear God, could you imagine what could be in the closet? I better not open the closet. Heck off. Fear of taking the next step, solving the next problem. I can tell you now, 100% of our kids that are in Rise Above are here because they feared something. And they either were nefarious in trying to solve the problem of the fear that they had, or they were weak. They under-responded to something, or they responded in an inappropriate way. And it endangered their lives or somebody else's life. Let that sink in for a second. If you're too scared to act in a way that has a meaningful resolution to the current problem that is before you, should I or should I not text this person back? What is the benefit? What is the negative? Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, Crash. 1,000%. That again, that goes back to my alpha male comment. I have avoided a million fights in my life and in my nonprofit here because of that very thing. And so the only way, so having said that, the only way that you know a hero exists is typically because you've witnessed it, either in yourself or in them. You've seen them do something that has set them apart. Run into the World Trade Center. Strap on a bulletproof vest and go into a hostage situation. Go into a room of teens. Who are all on probation for something or another. I can tell you a person who can manage fear is the one I want to be beside or have in my trench in battle. I don't care how big your guns are. Because if you can manage fear, I can give you direction. I can teach you. I can lead you. You following? Heroes can take others and make other heroes, as long as the others can manage fear. My first psych job out of college was at a brain injury clinic, but we took on some adolescents with cognitive impairment or damage. Well, I always got the most violent ones. Yeah. Yeah, we get a lot of them here, Crash. A lot of students with major cognitive impairment in our programs here. It's crazy what you run into at such young ages. Picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, so next step. What's a hero? What qualities do they possess? And share what you know. I'll come back to your thing in a second. I just want to get this part out and I'll read your comment. Heroes tend to be very clever. So again, get back to my point of, let me grab my note here. Get back to the point of they solve the next problem and they take the next step, right? So stick with that thought for a second. Heroes are very clever. They're cognitive. They think, they process things, usually very quickly. They can think like the bad guy, usually. Not usually, they can. And they're one step ahead of them. So I know what the bad guy's going to do. So I already know you're going to throw a left and then the right jab. I just know. Yeah, and some would call it, like, cleverness is building block of intelligence. Some would call cleverness common sense. Oh, he's clever. No, they just got common sense. They just know that if that happens, this is what's likely to happen next. In the context of mental illness, fear, which is an emotion, is compartmentalized, only experienced by the one a person that modes. Go onto autopilot and they can temporarily operate without fear because it's compartmentalized. And honestly, that can be taught, but it's largely built into the individual character, personality trait. So, for the hero, that because they're a thinking, the fight is a thinking man's game. See, I'm doing my fingers there. Just this is the thinking man. I don't know what that is, but it looks really cool on TV or on the camera. The fight is a game, and it's and what wins the game is the tactics, not necessarily the punch. It's knowing when to throw the punch. You follow me? Because if I'm playing Mario and I jump right away, well, that's great. I jumped. You're going to have to jump, but you just did it at the wrong time. You got to jump at the right time. Just knowing how to jump doesn't matter. You have to know when to jump. It's tactical. Right? You have to. It's too easy just to say, all you got to do is jump. It's too easy to say, all you got to do is just punch the bad guy in the face. It's too easy to say, all you got to do is just not do drugs. Well, no. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's what you got to do, but tell me how. Give me some timeline. Like, what? Like, okay, do I do that right now? Do I do it to that person, or do I do to that person? Maybe being scared is a feeling and fear is an emotion. They're different. One is a short-term situation, one is long-term. Before COVID, we had 2 classes per week for the Bridge school students here. Just thinking back to the main high schools. Yeah. I would agree, Cher. I think that you could experience both at the same time. I absolutely think you could share both at the same time. We have a similar program here, Crash. I mean, most of the larger high schools have programs like that. Rise Above, what I do here, is a complement to that work. We go 10 layers deeper than what those typically do. Yeah. Yep. And that's you can use that analogy right there, Crash, for everything. Everything. Okay. So next point. This idea of being clever puts them in the right place at the right time. That idea of knowing when to jump. And they know when to do whether to do a half jump or a full jump. Do I got to jump on top of this block? Do I got to jump so that I can crouch and get under the block? That's part of the tactics. That's part of being in the right place at the right time, seeing what's coming. So knowing that after I make this jump, I know because I see the other Mario dude coming to get me. As soon as I'm done this jump, I know that I've got to do a double jump or whatever, throw my hammer, whatever the thing is. I don't know Mario very well because that guy's coming right after. Knowing my adversary, knowing that my adversary has a habit of right jab followed by a left hook. So I know when I see the right jab to automatically go to my right because I know the left hook is coming. Doing my homework, knowing the tactics of my enemy. Seeing what's coming before they get there, before you get there. Very often, the vast majority of us walk around ignorant to the world around us, to the ambush, as my friend would say. A good friend of mine who's a special forces guy talks very often about how one of his struggles in life is whenever him and his wife go anywhere, restaurant, church, whatever, grocery store, goes to a restaurant, he has to sit in a certain spot and face a certain way because he wants to see the whole restaurant. He wants to see everybody. He wants to see the door. He wants to know where the exit is. Goes to church. He sits at the back of the pews, very back. Why? Because he wants to be, A, able to see everybody in the church, and to know what's happening, and B, be in between the entrance door and everybody in front of them, because when it hits the fan, he wants to be the barrier. He wants to be the wall that stands between whatever's bad, the nefarious walking through the door, and the people he wants to be the hero for. Yes, Flip. Otherwise, he's not in control of the situation. And TX, so this is what I'm saying. You're going to hear a lot of this stuff and you go, I do that. I do that. I do that. So does that make you a hero? Yeah. And some of that is personality because we're people. I'm a people person. I want to see everybody. I want to see what everyone's doing. I love this. Hey, look at you. Look at you. So that doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing it because I want to be secure. I want to be the person that is able to respond when bad things happen. It could just be that's my personality trait. I'm a people person. I want to see everybody. Oh, a new person came in the door. Ooh, they look nice. Oh, I like their shoes. It does. It makes that person very uncomfortable, Flip. When they don't have that, they squirm. He squirms. Anytime there's a new person in the gym, he's like, you know that dude? I'm like, no, I must have just got a membership. He's a new guy at the gym. Like, there's new guys all the time. He's like, you know that dude? No, dude, I don't know. He just new guy at the gym. Guy weighs 86 pounds. Can't even bench press the bar. Why are you worried? Like, you know? In reference to cleverness, I would say that a neurological ability that is kept in reserve for high stress situations, that those who keep their cleverness in reserve also limit their ability to use cleverness. And again, so I'm going to come to great observation, Cher. I'm going to come to that in a second. You'll hear it come up in my conversation about skill, heroes and their skill ability. That is also incredibly paranoid. I think people do that. Letting fear take over. So again, that there's a line there, right? There's this idea of tactics, being prepared in the right place at the right time. So that's his methodology. In somebody who is fearful. Oh, I just don't want anyone to sneak up behind me. Oh God, can you imagine if a guy with a gun came up behind me? What would I do? That's different than what he's doing. His is tactics based. The goal for me is to be able to see as much of the environment as possible, to know that tree represents 100 yards, that tree represents 50 yards. So when I go to engage the target, I already have markers of reference, and I don't need to range my rifle because I know I'm so skilled, and I'm going to get to the skill part in a second. I already know my weapons of my trade well enough that I don't have to think about using it. As someone said earlier, I think it was you, Cher, that said something about being innate, that it's so trained into us that it's no longer a cognitive process. It just happens. And that can be in conversation, debate, in an immediate response to something, or it can be in actual combat, hand-to-hand combat. This idea of skill, and this is one of the last points I'm going to make on this hero before I go in a different direction a little bit. Heroes know how to break you 100 different ways. So I'm going to use a combat to explain this a little bit because it's easier to visualize and to hopefully help you understand. Hey, Millsy, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining the stream, man. Yeah, and so that's why I preferenced Cher. That's why I preferenced the hero thing with the friend I'm going to lovingly protect, sacred guardian, right? So I agree with you 1,000% there. But heroes know how to break you in 100 different ways. Whether that's striking you, shooting you, mind games, being one step ahead of you, whatever. It does. They know how to get to you 100 different ways before you've even thought about them being in the room. The reason why? War games. These people think constantly about, okay, here's a scenario. Yeah, I'm having dinner with my wife, but whatever. So if a dude walks through that door right now and does X, Y, Z, this is going on in their mind. And again, it's not fear. This is training. They're war games. How many times have I sat in my office and thought about a student that comes in and I understand their personality and I meet them and I go, okay, I'm going to kind of expect this type of behavior from them. So if they do this, I'm going to do this. You follow what I'm saying to you? Those are war games, they're called. These are things that we do in our mind hundreds of times before an incident ever happens. And the reality is, an incident may never happen. A war may never start. That student may never act up. Nobody, you might never have someone break into your house and try and harm your family. You may never have to use any of the skills and abilities that you've trained for and done all these war games for ever. Thank God. But heroes play this out in their mind regularly. Just like somebody who is in education, somebody who is an athlete in flip, if you're still here. You couldn't always do a double flip. You had to practice this, train this in your mind as much. I mean, athletes do it all the time. Athletics is a psychological game as much as it is a skill-based game. Falling behind in chat, I'm sorry. I don't want to say it makes you a hero, but it makes you prepared. It goes with my saying of hope for the best. But, so I kept pausing because the chat keeps moving. So it's not that I can't read, trust me. But prepared for the worst. Morg's a people person? Nah. 100% of a lie. Morg meets everyone with force every time, dropping the hammer. Ugh, every time, killing me. Would I agree that things we really fear and hate are the parts of ourselves that we recognize? That what I've always thought, like we don't hate jugglers who forge checks. Jugglers? I don't know what jugglers who forge checks. It's nothing we ever see. We fear and hate what we don't understand, and we understand ourselves. So the best example of that I can kind of give to you, Crash, is this idea, I hate public speaking. I can't stand it. The reality is because you don't trust yourself. It's not that you're scared of the people in the audience. That's not why you hate public. I'm so nervous when I get up. The reason why you're nervous is because you don't trust the information that you possess. You don't trust yourself. That's why you fear public speaking. And what I always say to people who are they say, you're so good at it. You seem so natural. You do. Because I'm not scared of myself. I know. Hey, LP, what's up, man? Little Pretty, doing good. What's going on? I'm confident in my message. When I get up to talk in front of a microphone or an audience or whatever it is, on TV, radio, I don't hesitate. People say, that was a great interview. Well, yeah, because I love what I do, and I'm confident in my message. I've rehearsed it. I've done the war games in my mind. If I'm asked this question, this is how I'll respond. Even if it's a question I don't know the answer to, I've rehearsed that in my mind about how am I going to respond to that? What am I going to say when somebody asks me a question that's uncomfortable, that goes against my value system, that I just blatantly don't know the answer to? What happens if I'm caught in a lie that I told years ago and I forgot all about it? Someone says, yeah, remember that time you said XYZ? How's that going? Let me think, purple, that's what people are scared of. That's why people don't like public speaking. No one wants to be called out publicly. It's embarrassing. So it's debilitating. No problem, TX. Have a good meeting, buddy. Well, now I know what to call them when I do them. Yeah. You'd rather have a plan than no plan at all. Yeah, that's part of what it is. It's planning, right? Some of what you're describing could be classified as intrusive thoughts. I'm curious what you're calling intrusive thoughts. Hey, Andy, what's going on, buddy? Oh, you missed a great stream, bro. We're not done yet, but we're getting there though. Sadly, this has been a great topic, and the audience has been phenomenal. Intrusive thoughts can be a way of protecting yourself, though, depending on the situation. I live by the motto, adapt and overcome. Can be related to so many things, I guess. Yeah, I agree. I bring it up because I know guys in this incredibly wealthy area who started carrying guns in case some crazy with a gun. And now our friends groups recognize them as the paranoid persons. Yeah, it happens. And again, that's where fear has taken over, right? So they're not fearless, right? Like, a hero is not fearless. They manage their fear. This is what I'm saying. Yeah, Andy, I honestly think you'll enjoy the VOD. I'm not even just saying that. I honestly think you'll enjoy the VOD. And I'd love to get your feedback on it because I know that you're a thinker on this stuff too. So the Army saying, no cuff to tough. I think intrusive thoughts need to reach a certain threshold to be clinically worrisome. Otherwise, it's just stuff that your brain cycles through. Oh, Andy, thanks for gifting Millsy a sub, buddy. Appreciate it. 10 freaking subs to the channel. Legend. Thank you, buddy. Welcome to the gym. Hey, Millsy, don't forget Thursday's leg day, buddy. And it sucks. Enjoy your leg day emote. Welcome back, TX. That was a quick meeting. Was it my favorite type of meeting, the canceled type? Those are my favorite meetings. Share what you know says, I mean, if anyone is sitting in a restaurant trying to enjoy a meal with family and the person has recurring thoughts about incapacitating each person that walks to the table, in truth of thought, zero chill anxiety. So again, to clarify, he's not sitting there every moment of the day, you know, in every situation. He's sitting and enjoying his meal. I go out with this guy quite a bit. He's actually a really good friend of mine. And he's an enjoyable person to be around in the restaurant. The reality is, I know the dude has thought through that process a bajillion times. It's his job, literally. Andy, stop it. Stop it. You're giving me back all the money I just gave you. Appreciate it. TX, welcome. Morg. Why weren't you subbed? I thought I subbed you every month. Welcome back. Morg meme. The lady with the sword. The scary spider lady. We all love Andy. We all love you, Morg. Appreciate it. No one had any updates. Perfect. Leg days every day. Millsy, new best friend. Thank you, Millsy. Then my tone MCL started popping off my knee. Nice. All right, so next, talk about heroes and their skill. So this idea of war games. So the idea that heroes are preemptive. They've gone through every scenario. They know they typically will have gone through a scenario before it's even presented itself. And that's why you see in special forces in combat situations, take Bin Laden. Remember Osama Bin Laden, the compound that they finally went and they got him in? Hey, Albert, what's up? And they finally went and got him in. They actually had aerial photos. They built that compound in the desert. And those special forces guys trained going through that house for a week or two before they actually went to Bin Laden's compound. That's called wargaming. That's the very principle that we're talking about. Now, does it have to be that extreme? It can be a mental thing. Again, I talked about preparing for how I'm going to talk to a student. How, Andy, talking to clients. How am I going to go in and refine my sales pitch so that I can best represent my message and the benefit to my way of thinking, my product, my whatever. You know, we should do a stream one day on just war. Anyone heard of this terminology before? They have just war. I take it one step further to say just war theology. The idea of somebody being able to, yeah, exactly, Crash. I think that'd be a really fun stream for those who have not been introduced to it yet. It's a really neat. I plan on one day doing a doctoral research paper on it. I'm actually in the process now of gathering information to prepare my question for full iteration, because I'd love to approach it from a theological standpoint, the idea of God and just war. Yeah, you can integrate Sun Tzu's The Art of War with it, but I don't know that it would entirely encapsulate what we're talking about when we speak of just war. And for those of you that don't know, America and most Western countries ascribe to the idea of just war, and in its methodologies and ideas. So just FYI. So it's not like some far-fetched, radical whatever. Sure, you know, not even a little bit. I just remember the first couple of years of my bachelor's, and everything seemed like a clinical issue to all of us. Yeah. I was accidentally a quadruple major in college. Ouch. With 3 minors. So I've read a lot. Yeah. I read a lot about it. And I've only been in it about 10 years now, but it's really intrigued me and I'm interested. So speaking of war, this idea of training, you know, I took martial arts for several years, and part of it was jiu-jitsu, but not all of it. It was just this combination of several martial arts. Long story short, this is a bit of a joke, but bear with me. Jiu-jitsu itself, I don't know who said it, but again, I just know it from years ago. Jiu-jitsu, someone once said to me, is the art of folding somebody's clothes while they're still wearing them. You got oil, see you soon, Just War. Right? So they've refined their skills so much that their whole intention in life is to beat you at your game. To me, a true dangerous person is always thinking, how do I get better? And the idea isn't to get better for myself. A true dangerous person is somebody who is constantly thinking to themselves, how do I get better so that fear is less? Again, not for me, but for you. Gets back to the comment I made earlier. We live predominantly fearless because of heroes, because they have tirelessly thought of ways of getting better, being better. BJ is the most fun way to get injured that I know of. Yeah. A hero is never satisfied with where they are. And again, remember what I said to you earlier, what I started out with the idea of a hero. They lovingly protect. They're some form of a sacred guardian. And they tend to have this transcendent value. Right? So their desire to be better is not their own. Their desire to be better is because they strive for something external, beyond themselves. That beyond themselves could be you, could be me, could be their family. But typically this person, this hero, that would ascribe the value of, my protectiveness, my transcendentness to my desire to be better, to make sure my family is safe. I guarantee you that if this person was in the line at Walmart and saw somebody abusing a child, would unquestionably step in and say, you're done. You need to stop that right now. If they saw some guy beating his wife or some other unjust act on the street, would, with almost near zero hesitation, step in. If there was an accident, and I can give you a specific example in my life. If there was an accident where somebody was hurt on the road, would jump into the road to render aid. Again, not for self-glorification, but to glorify others. There's a phrase, I had it on my whiteboard for probably a couple of years. I just removed it because it's kind of ingrained in my brain now, but it was a visual reminder for me, and kind of a motto that I've lived my life by to some degree in when I hire people, kind of what I look for. And I'll read your comments here in a second. I apologize. And that is, I would rather serve in an army led by lions than an army led by sheep. What do you think I mean by that? And again, an army can be a metaphor for anything. It's not necessarily militaristic. I would rather be in an army or serve in an army that is led by lions than an army that is led by sheep. Hey, Diablo, what's up, buddy? If a person with an unusual mental experience compares that with another person who has an unusual mental experience. They may end up both believing that the experience is normal or made divination sensitive. So one thing I would add to that, share and crash, is everybody judges everything on experience. Even people with mental disorders or unusual mental experiences. Even perfectly normal, what quote unquote normal, base everything off of what they consider to be their truth, right? So when we're going to have a conversation about baseline this and experience that, the reality is truth resides within the individual. There's very few things that are an imperative or measurable, definable when it comes to experience. And we've all played the game before where you look at a picture and for 10 seconds, and you got to tell me as many things that you have seen are going on in the picture as possible. Everyone's going to come up with 10 different points because everyone will experience the picture in a different way. Yeah. Flip, that's I don't know if that's the original quote or not. I know that that's how I read it originally, so. Good for standing up for the weak, Liam. Writes down a phrase to get hired. Yep, universal truths are rare, and epistemology is another thing. Yeah. It's true, though. And again, I can give you an example of this. I served on a church board back in Canada before moving to the States. And again, I'm not saying what Cher is saying is wrong, and I'm not saying what Crash is saying is wrong at all. What I'm saying is that needs to be added to it because it's all relative. So I served on a board, and I'm not going to say names and stuff like that, but I'll tell you the experience. We had a lead pastor and an associate pastor. The associate pastor swore. He had a secret meeting with the board and said, the lead pastor's trying to get me fired. Okay, that's a pretty serious claim. Like he's spreading lies about me. He's saying this and he's doing that, blah, blah, blah. Me and 3 other people from this board, it's a good-sized board, spent 6 months. I literally, those big 3-inch binders? I had 6 binders like that full of notes from interviewing. I literally interviewed everybody in the church, all the staff people, all the bulk of the congregates that I thought would be involved. And what I came to the conclusion of is, yes, things were said, but there was no intent to do what was being experienced. So his experience was, this guy's trying to get me fired. And so when we independently came together, 3 of us, with the same conclusion that, yes, some things were said that probably shouldn't have been said. Happens all the time. Humans, fallible, hello. But at the end, we said conclusively, the 3 of us believe there's nothing nefarious here. He wasn't trying to injure you in any sort of way. Bad verbiage, 100%. Don't do that again. At the end of the day, though, your job is safe. He thinks you're doing a good job. Performance evaluations he's done on you demonstrate that. Yes, there's growth areas. We all have growth areas. But at the end of the day, he's not trying to harm you. When we presented these findings to him 6 months after the fact, with all of the copious amounts of notes and things that we did, we actually brought an independent person in, spent $20,000, independent person, to even verify what we believed. He stood up in the board meeting and physically went after the lead pastor and one of our board members, to where I stood up, I had to stand up and push my table into him to stop him getting access, because one of the board members he was trying to attack was an 80-year-old man. And I had to stare him down and say, get out. And all he kept saying is, you can't deny my truth. That's my truth. You're telling me my experience doesn't matter. And all we were saying is, that's not what he said. He wasn't trying to go after your job. But he was so certain that his experience was the absolute truth that everything else, that nobody else at that point mattered. You see the danger in that phrase? You see the danger going down there? If we're just going to say that experience dictates truth, I say you're wrong. It dictates your truth, and if you're wise, you will test it constantly. Yeah, it was a church. Church is just people. It's just people like you and I. Don't say, oh, that was a church. Church is no different than the gym, the YMCA, than the mall. It's the same people. It's all these broken, fallible people. They just all believe in God. There's no difference. I think that's one of the big misnomers of church, that it's perfect. It's just as broken as everywhere else in the world. They just sing a lot more and read a Bible. Pastor. True story. I'm an ordained minister. There's nothing different between me and an unbeliever outside of the fact that I believe in something that transcends me. Yeah, Crash. And it's not a matter of the phrase itself. It's the belief in the phrase. That it absolutely makes me right because that's what I believe is the truth. No, come on. Take a breath. And I agree, Flip. It is something that is very dangerous. What's even more dangerous, Flip, and I would add to that, is how you respond to it. Not the person that believes it, but the person that is hearing that person passionately express their belief. And that's what it is. It's that blind belief. And it's no different than, so I hear this guy say these things. Oh my gosh, you can't deny my experience, blah, blah, blah. My response to him, now I moved the table out of necessity. Now, I mean, did I grapple the guy? Did I do it? No, I just put a barrier between him and the senior in the room. But did I sit there and blindly believe? Now, we'd done extensive research. We'd done a lot of homework. I'd talked to a lot of people. I'm pretty close to blindly believed. But if he had sat there and rebutted in some tangible way, there might have been some clarity that came out of his rebuttal to our findings. But that's not what happened. Clearly not a hero. That was a weak individual. Right? So go back to weak. Who's a weak person? They hurt you accidentally as they fumble through life. They have no character, no discipline, and no courage. The number one ability to use your courage is on yourself. Be brave enough to say, you know what, I messed up, I'm wrong, or I could be wrong. Thanks, TX. I appreciate you, buddy. And that was a perfect example because I then, after we went through the weak person there, and I say to you that this person injures everyone around them, often we give them the excuse, oh, we should just have pity on them. Oh, that poor guy. You know, I cannot believe he feels that way. Or, oh, it's such a, oh no, leave him alone. Just leave him. He's too upset right now. No one calls this person out because they feel like you're going to do more damage. You know, and I said very often we in society nowadays call it bullying. Thank you, Diablo. I get talking and sometimes I forget. You're always good for that. Fear is why I learned machining and art in my 30s and 40s. I hated always thinking I can't do that because there was also my wheelhouse upset me, yeah. I tell you, there is almost nothing I won't try. As long as I have control. So drugs, I won't try them. Why? Because I lose control in the process. Just not. I will try anything. Skydive, sure, because I get to pack my chute, blah, blah. Roller coasters, not so much, because I trust that somebody before me did all the maintenance on the thing. I've said this on stream before. I'm not a fearless person, but I will definitely do dangerous things. As long as I have an adequate amount of knowledge, training, and understanding. I don't want to just know that I can jump out of a plane and survive because I've seen others do it. I've seen movies. I've watched a guy do it. I want to know how the equipment works. I want to know why it's strong, what makes it strong. So if there's a nick in it, I understand that even just that little nick matters to the straps on my webbing. Like that's a big deal. And if all I know is that webbing is strong and I don't know that nick matters, now apply that to your life. Yeah, sure, I'm a strong guy, but if I don't know that this pain in my shoulder that I've been experiencing for the past year means I have a torn whatever, I'm going to continue pounding heavy weights, and I'm not even going to think about this thing until it just snaps, and suddenly I'm, scuba with sharks. Yeah, and Baron, I mean, that's a great example. I do most of my own automotive work. And you ask why? A, well, because that's what my dad taught me. He showed me how to do most of my own automotive work. And B, my buddy owns an auto mechanic shop. That's all I'm going to say. That's why I never complain at restaurants, because I worked in a restaurant. And I know what happens when the plate comes back and the customer says, oh, I didn't have enough fries in my plate, or my burger is not cooked enough, or whatever the case is. Incoming topless risks. No, my wife would kill me. If anyone was around last week, you would have heard my nipple shirt comment, or my wife calls it my nipple shirt. You gonna wear that nipple shirt on stream? TX crash, true, but I could understand that. But the question is, how do you help them grow? I know it would take them wanting. So TX, the example I could give you for that, to answer that question. So Rise Above, the nonprofit we run here for youth, there is one requirement to get into this program. And all of the resources, all of the staff, all of the things that we can do for a student, there is one requirement to get into the program. It isn't how hard are you going to work. It isn't how much money you got. It isn't what do you look like, how smart are you. The one question the student has to answer imperatively, yes or no, to get enrolled in this program is, do you want to be here? If the answer is no, hey, great, nice meeting you. Chris, that was your name, right? You have a great day, buddy. If you change your mind, you call me right back. We'll get you going. If the answer is yes, it's high five, Chris. Nice to meet you, man. I can't wait to journey with you. This is going to be hard. There's days where we're going to battle, bud. But I guarantee you, if you make it to the end of this thing, we're going to be great friends. Truth. That's it. That's the interview. It's 2 hours long, but that's how it ends. Before I met my current girlfriend, my plan was to move to Egypt and flesh out my Arabic. That'd be cool. Then go be a translator for the military. But this is good too. Agreed, brother. In my experience, it seems like any addiction until they're ready to address the issue. Yep. 100%. That is 100% what makes Rise Above successful. One, somebody gets to a place where they go, I need help. I can't do this alone anymore. I want to be better. And then to find somebody who's willing to journey with you so you don't have to do it alone. And for those of you that are, this is a gym, right? This is the whole context of Risk Immerse, is the idea of a gym culture. What makes me as strong as I am in the gym? Not the fact that I go to the gym every day or lift weights. It's my partner. My partner, my training partner is what makes me as strong as I am. Why? Why does my training partner make me better? Answer the question, and then I'll tell you why I think. We should get llamas to talk to your students sometimes. It's going to be part of the next chunk of this. That would be great, buddy. I'm telling you, Crash, in a heartbeat. Just to get them in here on stream. I would die. Remotely or otherwise. Come on in, let's have a talk. So what makes me stronger? What makes you stronger in the gym just because you have a training partner? Iron sharpens armor. Iron sharpens iron. Yeah. Who here has ever bench pressed before? Raise your hand. Give me 2 or 3. Let me know that somebody has done this before. Right? I have. Yesterday, bench press. I'm probably 4-8, 12 sets into my bench press. I'm now on decline from flat bench. And so those of you that have done this before, you can understand what I'm about to say. I just did flat bench. I'm on my decline, so your head is facing down like this, right? Your head is here, your feet are up here, and you're pushing at a kind of a weird angle. And I'm strong. Decline is for most guys, decline is our strongest bench. It just works more muscle groups, so you're able to get more triceps involved. And most guys can move a lot of weight. Normally, I do 315 with relative ease. So yesterday, I get on decline and think to myself, okay, throw the 315 on. I've done my warm-up sets. Let's go. What I failed to recognize is that I just done 12 sets of flat bench, fairly hard sets, to failure. And failure means I'm doing a rep and I get to the bottom and I can't move it anymore, so I need my spotter, my partner, to help me finish the last rep. See where I'm going? I could never do that without his help. I will never get stronger and get that last rep, because it's that last rep and the one after it that he forces on you when you got nothing left. Those are the reps that make you stronger. Everything else is maintenance. You see these guys squatting 500 pounds, it's not because they just got under the bar and squatted 500 pounds right away. I didn't start off doing 315 for reps on decline. You start off with the bar. You start off with 135 pounds. And that's a struggle. My son, who's been in the gym now with me since June, has gone through amazing strides. It's incredible. But the last 2 reps, he's on that set, and I'm forcing him through those last reps. Come on, buddy, 2 more. And he's like, and he's screaming and making all kinds of noise. And I have to lift half the bar on those last 2 reps. But it's those last 2 reps with my help that make him stronger, that make him better. And it's the same analogy with our students. To get stronger on your own is extremely difficult. It's not impossible. You can get stronger. You can even change how you look, how you feel alone. But it gets exponentially better, easier, and more productive when you have somebody who's willing to journey with you in the process. I lift much less weight since I moved away from my training partner because of the lack of motivation and the concern that I'll hurt myself. 2 main things. You can't do as much unless you got someone to be there as that safety net. It gets back to my heroes saying they're the ones that give us that feeling of freedom, the ability to do things that we otherwise would not do if we lived in fear, like a big heavy bar landing on our face because we lifted way more than we should have on our own. I love decline bench. It's my, yeah. I went to bench on incline 185s without a spot a few years ago. Nice. 275 is a good weight, buddy. That's a good weight. Yoga is hard. But listen to me. This is not an individual sport. This is a team sport. Gets back to the whole, I'd rather serve in an army of lions, led by lions than by lambs. You have to have a leader. You have to have somebody that initiates the activity. But at the end of the day, it's a team sport. There was, who was the coach? It's a football coach. I can see his face. And he was talking about one of his players, and the media, it was after the game, and the media was hounding him because he was a star player, and he got benched for the game. Ted Lasso. And it was after the game, and somebody was grilling him, and he was furious. Furious. Oh, what was it? I bet you I could find it, but I'll get hit if I play it. And the premise of it was this. He said, we play a team sport. And if my superstar wants to play an individual game, he's not on my team. I'd rather play the game and lose with a bunch of players who play together under my direction and my leadership than to fight with a player who doesn't do any of that and works only for himself. Because in that instance, we all lose all the time. At least with the first, we have a chance of winning if we work together. And he was furious. He said, if this continues, he is not a part of this team. He will never be a part of this team. And it gets to the point, if you're not a team. That guy is not a superstar without his team. Somebody has to give him the ball. He gets the points from somewhere other than himself. All he gets to do at the end is spike the ball. Or take credit for the last fraction of a second. My son, who plays soccer, both my boys, my oldest and my youngest sons play soccer competitively. My son is on a full ride university scholarship. And my other guy, who is 16, just won state championship with his high school. And one of the things my son was kind of bummed out with is because he's only in 10th grade. He didn't play a lot. This coach believes in giving the seniors in the older members of the team more playing time just to honor their continued sacrifice over the years. And so anyways, they go on to win state championship, and my son's bummed out because he didn't play a lot in the final state championship game, and he was like, I remember he was crying in the car. And I said to him, son, why are you upset? And I'm going to read chat here in a second. I've missed a few. I apologize, but I want to get these points across. And I said, son, why are you upset? Why are you crying? You just won freaking state championship. He's like, but I didn't play. Blah, blah. I'm like, what are you talking about? You've played all year. You just won state champ, but I didn't win. They won. I'm like, even if you never set foot in a game, you practice with these guys every day. You were the opposing team. The coach would give you a scenario of the coming team. You would step onto the field and role play that opposing team in their plays because they studied the other teams. And if you didn't do that, the team that did play the majority of the minutes in the games would not have been prepared, and you likely would not have won state championships. He didn't understand that in helping the superstar score the touchdown, that he was, in fact, just as much the superstar as the one who scored the goal. You follow what I'm saying to you? Sometimes we fail to see how the supporting role, and this gets back, is just as much a superstar. So our hero, let's use our hero analogy. So go back to what I was saying earlier, and then I'll read chat. Yeah, it says here, heroes live by a code. They tend to live for a higher purpose. Being around these people tend to make others better. Hear what I'm saying to you? So if the hero, if the superstar is a team player, he will innately raise the bar for the rest of the team. And that team will play up to that higher bar. One of the best things, piece of advice I give both of my boys, competitive advice I give both my boys, is don't play with other players who are weaker than you just because you want to look good. You're going to dribble through everybody that's weaker than you athletically. Just matter of fact, you've been playing for 15 years, for crying out loud. Of course you're going to be better than some kid on the street. Find somebody who is better than you and play against them. They will make you a better person. That's the same analogy. Then it's just fighting your own. Let's go back here. A good way around that is that'll help with yoga. You mentioned earlier that the desire to better yourself. What are your thoughts on the goal process being divorced from desire to better understand the world? Ooh, I'm not sure I understand that question. Somebody want to clarify? What are your thoughts on the goal process being removed from or separated from the desire to better understand the world? Why does it need to be separated? Why would I want to remove the goal? Because could the goal not be to better understand the world? Isn't that a goal in itself? So I don't understand how you would separate the two. I may be misunderstanding your question, Sheer. I'd go into battle with... Yeah, thank you, Andy. Appreciate you, buddy. No crying allowed, though, Andy. 2 years ago, the best wrestler at Elmhurst University, where we all went, called me at 2 a.m. and said, "How do I tell Coach I'm not going to wrestle nationals this weekend?" He was so terrified of losing, he went and took 6th in the country. Wow. Yes, I have, Cher. Quite a lot, actually. It's a great fallacy to live in when you don't want to ever accept reality. And to that point, it's a horrible statement. Ignorance is not bliss. Challenge me. Go. I think that's a horrible way to live your life or something to believe in. But, I mean, the other reality of that is you can't possibly know everything, right? All you can, as we were talking about the hero earlier, all you can do is strive to be better, strive to know more. I told them, being very serious, start driving up through Wisconsin, and when you're in Minnesota, call him and say, "Coach, I'm in Minnesota." So what do we think of today's stream? What do we think of this topic? Far-fetched? Did we make a point? Did we win a battle? Did we cover ground unknown? Did we cover ground that's been trodden 1,000 times? Was anybody confused? Anybody enlightened? Do we want to expand further? Do we want to go deeper down the rabbit hole? Or we talked about this idea of just war. I mean, we can take this idea and we can transition it into some form of just war theology, or even just war in general. You know, where do we go with this? Because we haven't done a really deep dive on something like this in a while. Yeah, I think so too, TX. But I mean, you know, Crash and others clearly have some degrees under their belt, like Cher. And Cher, I apologize. I don't, outside of today, I don't know that I recognize you ever being in my stream before, but I find it really good that you're here today. Thank you. Philosophy, emotions, and feelings. And so Cher, that's a great point. So by that comment, would you suggest that you could separate? Because there are some philosophers that say you could. Do you believe you can separate philosophy from emotions and feelings? And I would add response to that. Yeah, myself included, Crash. I'm no expert by any stretch. There are many who would school me in a heartbeat, and they're probably only 19 years old. I just love the idea. I love the concept. I love the debate of it. Truly is an expansion of thought process, and I would add psychology in with that as well, not just philosophy. It's a deep topic. It's a fun topic. It's one that I think if you truly give it time and space, can bring you to a I didn't mean to rhyme here, but bring you to a place that could potentially change your life. I don't say that flippantly. I smile because it excites me to think about the possibilities. We deal with our students here all the time. We take this journey with them all the time. One of the first things I say to students is, why are you not trying? In other words, why are you being weak? Why don't you have the courage to try? Try it. Try doing your schoolwork every day for a week. Tell me what happens. Tell me what doesn't happen. Tell me who doesn't complain to you, who doesn't yell at you, who doesn't try in some way, form, or fashion to discipline you for something. How can they discipline you for doing what you're supposed to do? It just suddenly goes away. Why? Because you tried, because you had the courage to do something. I think they're all related, better explored simultaneously as humans process feelings, emotions. Yeah. Yep. My advisor at Elmhurst came from NASA and has been working to attach two brains together since. What? That's crazy. Yeah. You never know if you don't try. You know, in that whole day idea of knowing, and I've said this on stream a lot, but it's always worth repeating. Albert Einstein, back in the 1920s, I believe, was asked about a given topic, and the topic escapes my mind, but he was asked, say, about physics of some sort. How much do you know about this topic? If you were to say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 100%, how much do you think you've explored of this topic so far? And at the time, he was considered the most knowledgeable, the most learned person in physics at the time, the expert in the field. And he gave some ridiculous number of, I know less than 1/100,000th of a percent about this topic. And what he was basically saying is almost the hero mentality of, yeah, you may think I know a lot, but I know nothing. The reality is my job is to keep learning because this really is infinite. And there are so many scenarios and variables involved that I couldn't possibly say that I know 10%, 50%, or even close to 100%, let alone say that I know 1%. Oh, miniature models. Nice. My kids and I got into that a few years ago. Yeah. You know, and Crash, I'll admit, that was kind of my thought process with the whole streaming thing, too. I watched others do it, and I was always, like, intrigued. Obviously, I've got a lot of passions, and I've got a lot of rabbit holes I go down. But one of the things I always struggled with was my ability to put it all together in one spot, you know, to do something with it, to encourage others with it. And the iteration of that really came about when I got into Twitch and watching folks there and realized that it could be a lot simpler than it was in my mind. And again, those are those war games that we talk about, running through the scenarios in my mind of, okay, how does that look? How do I do that? You know, what happens if this happens? You know, how do I not freak out when some guy with the name Dixon Nuts or whatever the heck it was earlier follows my channel? How do I not lose my mind? Your schools are also a good outlet for that, handing off helpful behaviors to kids. Yeah. learning by osmosis. And very often it's that idea of sitting Shiva, right, Crash? This idea of just being present with kids. They don't even have to say anything half the time. Just being present in the moment with the students very often is a large part of the success that we have. It's only after one has reached a certain level of knowledge that they can look back and see how ignorant they used to be, including how the new information changed them and how difficult it was to acquire the knowledge. Yeah, go get your master's or your doctoral degree. You'll learn that real quick, especially in something outside of basket weaving. Although basket weaving itself is a very hard thing to do. Not to take away from those basket weavers in the audience. All right. I think that's 2 hours. That was really good. Cher, thank you for joining the stream today, buddy. I look forward to seeing you again. Crash, you as well. And everybody else. Andy, thank you for all the gifted subs today. Who else subbed? Brenny subbed today. Uncle Jim subbed today. We had I don't know what's going on, but I'm getting a ton of followers off stream too. So thank you to everyone that's followed off stream. I really appreciate all of that. Share what you know. Welcome to the stream, buddy. Crashing Adam, thank you for gifting Share What You Know a subscription to the channel. Appreciate it. Share What You Know. We do this usually every Monday around 11 o'clock. We usually stream for about 2 hours. Sometimes a really deep conversation like today. Sometimes just goofing around. It's one of those things. We want to have good conversations. We want to not just be fluff. But at the end of the day, we also want to be real. We want to have a lot of... Oh, that's funny. Baron Bactor, thank you for gifting a sub to Crashing Adam, who just gifted a sub to Share What You Know. That's awesome. Bless you, brother. That's your first gift sub to the channel, too, for both of you guys. Thank you very much for breaking the ice for both of you guys. Appreciate it. So Share What You Know. You're welcome anytime, buddy. It was great. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it. It helped to stretch my understanding of a topic a bit further, and I hope it did the same for you guys as well. For those of you that I see on a regular basis, whether it be Baron, Crash, or Andy and Morg and all the rest, I can't wait to see you guys in the other streams and to laugh and play and to enjoy watching our favorite streamers. You guys are all legends, and I look forward to seeing you all here again next week. I hope you all have a blessed day and a great afternoon. Take it easy, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.